Dear student, in this video we study the part of Hydrosere. It is a ecological succession. A succession which is originated from water body, that is from aquatic environment, is called Hydrosere or hydrarch succession. Such a succession does not necessarily lead to the development of a land community, but if the water body is sufficiently large and with wave action, the succession usually results in the formation of a large aquatic climax community. These hydrosere usually start from a pond, and in that pond ecosystem, the pioneer community is a phytoplankton, and it results into a formation of a thick forest or a grassland will be a climax community. In this case, the several serial stages of a plant communities these are takes place, and these serial communities of a plants are more obviously seen than the animals in that serial changes. These serial stages of hydrosere includes first, phytoplankton stage, second, rooted submerged stage, third, rooted floating stage, fourth, reed swamp stage, fifth, siege meadow stage, sixth, woodland stage, and seventh, forest stage, which we will study one by one. In this diagrammatic representation, it shows the various stages of hydrarch succession. The first stage, it shows normally formed water body, means for example this is a pond, aquatic system, and in this aquatic system we can't observe any living form, but from that aquatic system such a type of a serial changes as well as successions, these are continuously takes place, and at last the same aquatic habitat is converted into woodland stage, as well as we say that a forest stage at last we observe. And therefore one by one these successional communities, different type of communities, their arrival is takes place in that aquatic habitat, their complete multiplication, growth, development is takes place, and at the end their death is takes place, and due to death as well as after death their dead materials these are added into the bottom of that pond, and therefore what happened at the bottom there is a slowly formation of a soil is takes place, and as the soil layers as well as the soil formation occur in that same region, same place, same aquatic habitat, the water level is reduced. The water level is reduced means in this first diagram we observe that there is a large amount of water is seen, but the situation as well as the condition of aquatic habitat is slowly change, and at the bottom of that water habitat the soil formation is takes place, and as the soil formation is increases the water level is reduces, and therefore at last we found that there is a thick forest as well as a climax condition is seen, and these are not take place immediately, but it required the several years. One after another these successively the different plant species these are come in that region, their growth is takes place, their development is occur, and it results into conversion of these aquatic habitat into that thick forest. It is started from water, therefore it is a term as a hydrosere, and in that hydrosere the number of stages which is coming we study one by one. In that first is nothing but a phytoplankton stage. The phytoplankton will be pioneer community in the hydrosere. Algal spores, these are brought into that water in the initial stage of the succession. These algal spores later on germinate and it results into formation of a colonies, as well as it results into development of a colonies in that water body. Their multiplication is takes place, as well as their growth is occur in that water body. They fix the light energy for the process of a food formation, and that process is termed as a photosynthesis. These are plants, these are phytoplanktons, these are done, and in them the arrival of blue green algae, green alga, diatoms, these are takes place along with certain bacteria. These are also present in that aquatic habitat. Means these are phytoplanktons. These are nothing but a pioneer of that Hydrosere stages. The large number of these minute free floating zooplankton, these are also appear in that aquatic ecosystem. These are nothing but a zooplankton. These zooplankton also seen in that water bodies. Various growth activities of these phytoplanktons, these are seen, and later on it results into death. When their death is takes place, then along with their nutrients, these are settled down at the base of that water body, and therefore it results into formation of a soil layer. Means after the death they settle down at the bottom of the pond, and it results into formation of a layer of the mud. Second stage is rooted submerged state. In that rooted submerged stage, means nutrients are added to the soil and water by death and decomposition of that phytoplankton. It results into formation of a soft muddy bottom, and which is rich with slit formation, and that condition is now favorable for the growth of these submerged hydrophytes. In that submerged hydrophytes, the Hydrilla, Vallisneria, Utricularia, Cara, as well as the Ceratophyllum, their growth is takes place. Means once there is a formation of a muddy bottom and these water depth become shallower one, then these water, or through that water the sunlight penetrate into the bottom of that water, and once the water is coming in that pond, at that time it is favorable for the growth of that rooted submerged hydrophytes. These plants will completely submerged in the water, but they can be show their well development in that pond, and therefore these are nothing but a rooted submerged stage, and their example is nothing but Hydrilla, Vallisneria, Utricularia, Cara, as well as the Ceratophyllum. These members, these are seen in that rooted submerged stage. The nutrient rich muddy bottom help to quickly flourish and increase their population in that water body. But once these third rooted floating stage, these are coming, means in that stage the water level, these are decreases, and the water level is becoming up to the 4 to 8 feet, and that is favorable for the growth of these submerged vegetation. Submerged vegetation, these are starts disappearing in these from these pond. Their death and decomposition is takes place. The death and decomposition of these rooted plants, it results into more and more addition of nutrients at the bottom of the pond soil, and this further increases the width of the bottom soil, and therefore this condition is favorable for the growth of rooted hydrophytes, and therefore in that situation the rooted floating hydrophytes, these are developed, these are appear in that situation. These rooted floating plants quickly cover the entire water surface, and their floating leaves completely cover the water body. As a result of this, the light penetration into the water is inhibited, and this results in the complete disappearance of the submerged plant. The example of these rooted floating plants, these are nothing but Nelumbium, Nymphia, as well as a Trapha. These are the example of that rooted floating stage. Then these free floating plants can also develop along with them, and their example is nothing but Azolla, Limna, Wolfia, Pistia, as well as Salvinia. Means these are nothing but a free floating hydrophytes. These are freely float on the surface of water. Limna, Salvinia, Azolla, Pistia, as well as Wolfia. After these, the next step is coming, and that is nothing but a red swam stage. This red swam stage is characterized by the formation of a plant's tripha, sagittaria, as well as a polygonum. This red swam stage is characterized by, or it is called as an amphibious stage. Means in this stage the water level is very much reduced, and it is coming up to the 1 to 3 feet. The level of soil and silt increases, and in this condition the rooted floating plants cannot survive there. The soil becomes more fertile by the death and decay of that plant debris. In this stage, the rooted floating plants are replaced by the plant communities which can survive both in water as well as a terrestrial condition. Therefore, this stage is known as the amphibious stage, and amphibious stage, or the plant which is developed in this stage, they can be shown the proper growth, and the most of these plants will be rooted one. Their shoots, these are exposed to the air, and they have well developed rhizome. The plants in this stage form very dense vegetation over the area, and this prevent the light penetration into the lower portion. At this condition, the remaining rooted floatings or free floating or submerged plants of these previous serial stages, these are totally disappear, and only in that region reed swam stage is characterized by the occurrence of plants typha, sagittaria, as well as a polygonum. Their next stage is nothing but a term as a sage marsh or meadow stage. Water level further decreases, and the filling process results in the formation of a marshy soil. The marshy soil in Marathi it is termed as a daldal. Daldal formation takes place in that region, and this marshy soil is unsuitable for the pre-existing communities, means for example a reed swam community. Plants of cypress as well as a poaceae, these are start to develop, and they predominant in that area. The rhizome of these plants are well developed, and they are interconnected to each other. They form mat-like vegetation over the top of the soil. Their luxurious growth results into modification of that current soil. These plants have a high rate of transpiration, and due to which they remove a large amount of water from the soil, and it results into the reduction of moisture. Due to loss of water by transpiration, the soil become more exposed to air for the first time. Once the soil is exposed to the air, the nutrients such as ammonia and sulfides which is present in that soil become oxidized, and it results into formation of nitrates and sulfates. Oxidation also results in the breakdown of other complex organic compounds in the soil, and therefore it results into formation of a simple forms of compounds which can be easily utilized by that plants. All these ultimately results into the formation of a terrestrial soil. Therefore, in these stage, the terrestrial soil formation takes place, as well as plants which belongs to family Cyperaceae as well as Poaceae, they show their dominance in this stage. After that, the sixth stage is a woodland stage. In this stage, some shrubs and medium sized trees will be start to appear. These plants will prevent the light penetration to the bottom region, and hence the marshy vegetation in the body is gradually shrinks. The soil will stay dry in most of the time. Shrubs and herbs, these are gradually predominant in that area. Shading of leaves from the shrubs and trees, it results in the huge accumulation of humus in that soil. A variety of decomposers of bacteria and fungal groups in the soil, they quickly break down this organic matter and it results into the further increase in the fertility of the top soil cover. The woodland stage is characterized by the formation of a plant, occurrence of a plant, and these plants are salix, epatorium, as well as acacia, alnus, cassia, terminalia. These are the example of these woodland stage. Means in that stage, these shrub plants as well as small or medium sized trees, these are developed in that region. Last step is the seventh forest stage. Forest stage is the climax community in the Hydrosere succession. The woodland community is invaded by large tree forms. Tree forms gradually predominate the area and their canopy covers the entire area. Canopy means there we say that the diameter of that tree, it is termed as a canopy cover. The light penetration to the lower canopy becomes reduced and this results in the reduction of herb and or shrub population. This condition also promoted the occurrence of large wooded climbers. These climbers, which is termed as a linus, will climb over the trees for sunlight. The climate of this region determines the type of a forest, means that a type, the forest is either deciduous forest as well as it is evergreen forest, means the climatic condition of that region, it determines which type of that forest. And in that stage, the plants which is growing, these are nothing but a shoria, curacus as well as a assur. If these plants are grown in that stage, we observed that it is a forest stage of that Hydrosere succession. The climax forest community is stable and self-sustainable. All type of communities such as herbs, shrubs, trees, climbers, animal, decomposer, etc. are present in the climax community in correct proportion. At the climax stage, a complete harmony is developed between the plant community with the habitat, and the process of Hydrosere is a gradual process and it may take thousands of years to complete. Here we completed the first point, that is nothing but Hydrosere. In the next video, we will study the Xerosere. Therefore, dear student, here we stop. Thank you very much.